Hello and welcome back to the RIJB podcast. That stands for, of course, relax. It's just business. It's the bi-monthly show where we discuss everything business, from news, throw in some reviews, and we always leave you with some tips that you can use. And we are your hosts. My name's Louie Z, and again, I'm accompanied with my good friend, Mike T. So without further ado, relax, sit back, and let's talk business. Mike, it's good hearing from you again, man. We had a week off. You know, the bi-monthly gig is working out for us, but how was your week in between?
It was good. I'm glad to be back with you here doing episode 2, Attack of the Clones. We're getting our second one in here. And
yeah. Well, before we know it, it'll be like 50, right?
Oh, I know. We're just gonna keep going up and up. It sounds good.
It was nice to get a lot of support from friends and family from the first podcast, so thank you very much for that, everyone. And we got some good feedback, too, which was cool.
We did. Thanks everybody who reached out to either me or Louie. I know we converse back and forth and make sure that you guys are heard, but it's good to hear you guys are enjoying the podcast so far, and you're going to work with us on getting through our first few and continue the content.
Yeah, so kicking off with podcast number 2, we're going to go over some topics, bettering yourself in business, and then talk about some personal interests. And I'm even going to throw in a little business rant on how to be kind to the gatekeeper as any profession, and it'll really pay off for you. So that'll be during the break. But Mike, why don't you go ahead and kick us off? This was your topic for current events this week, so take it away, and I'll chime in when needed.
Yeah, so the very first topic I want to talk about today was Amazon. They are a huge company, and it's something that I know I use quite frequently. And there was an article that came out about a week ago that was talking about something interesting that they're doing. And first, I'll kind of take a step back, and I just want to bring up that they bought Whole Foods probably a little over a year ago now, and they've been trying to find out how to get into the market and what are they going to do with that Whole Foods store. And they've kind of alluded to it. They've alluded to knowing that there's got to be some sort of way for them to deliver food. So it's very interesting that they actually found a good way. They have decided that Amazon Prime is going to now deliver food from Whole Foods with a 2-hour shipping window. So they're going to get you...
It's so incredible. It's unbelievable.
Right. They got frozen foods. They got, milk. They got eggs. They got all these different things that they're going to be able to deliver, in 2 hours. And a very, very interesting fact about them and their customers is that they estimate that about 90% of their, 90 million Amazon Prime shoppers live within 10 miles of a Whole Foods.
It's just a no-brainer, like it really is. They're just going to use Whole Foods as mini warehouses across the country.
Yeah, they already started, with the food. They started trying to get competitive with it. They had to do some things to kind of tweak Whole Foods, business. They knew they were coming in high with organics. So when they jumped in, right off the bat, they slashed prices. And they made
I think it was by like 40%.
Yeah, as I'm seeing
just to make them competitive.
Yeah, which they knew they had to do. Organic was kind of the buzzword for a long time, and it still is growing in popularity. So now they have an avenue for what they can do. Now they have a way for them to deliver, and it's going to be something that we're going to see a lot more of it as the future goes on.
Yeah. And if you're an Amazon Prime member, then you'll be able to get that 2-hour delivering. And you can actually even get it faster. I don't know exactly what faster means. It just, this article, this Forbes article that we're referencing, says if you want it faster, it'll set you back another $7.99. But I mean, I can just think of so many situations to where like either you forget groceries or you are prepping for like a dinner meal or something, and within 2 hours, boom. On your patio,
Yeah, and
like
I can't tell you the amount of people that have, or companies that have already kind of tried stuff, tried to become new and fresh with the food delivery. There was, there's all these new ones like Blue Apron and all these other companies that deliver you meals that you can cook yourselves. And I have a friend right now who he gets his orders from Walmart. In his area, they have a delivery service that comes once a week. And so he stocks up every week on things like cereal and eggs and cheese. And then every other week he gets milk and just all these basics that you're going to go through, and it's something you're gonna need every couple weeks anyway. So
right.
It's just a really cool thing. I think you can even take a step back from that and see Peapod. Jewel used to work with Peapod, and they tried to do a delivery system, but they just don't have the vast logistical network that Amazon does.
It's so interesting to me, the psychology behind this, right? Because like while this is big news and this is huge news, I feel like we get desensitized to news like this. It's like, oh, food in 2 hours, and you just kind of shrug your shoulders, why not?
Right.
Food in 2 hours, of course. And it's just if you kind of take a step back and you look over this and you just think from a business standpoint, the logistics that need to go through from order being placed to pack, pick, ship, and then get it to your home, to your doorstep in 2 hours. It's just you have to have like the logistical expertise, which clearly Amazon does. I mean, there's sometimes I get Amazon Prime packages in a day, let alone 2 days.
Yeah.
So I just really want to point that out, that sometimes we get desensitized to things where it's like, oh, facial scanner on my iPhone 10, just kind of shrug your shoulders like, yeah, of course.
No big deal.
Or like being able to eventually, or like, in the works of driving across country with a self-driving car, and we just kind of like, yeah, of course. So It's just like putting that into perspective from a business standpoint of what needs to go on to get you that food is pretty incredible. And the other big point that I want to touch on in here is that Whole Foods employees who are familiar with the store,
right,
and like the different products that you're looking for, instead of, I didn't know this, but apparently it's like independent contractors who are with these other services, so they have no idea what's going on with like certain products, and that's probably why it takes so long to get to like the shipping phase, because you gotta go and search through barcodes and search through SKUs and stuff. But with the Whole Foods employees being the ones packing and shipping your products, I think that is a really smart move.
Oh yeah, it gives them a leg up on the competition. They're going to be able to have real people, real people picking it, and people who actually care about it too. So,
right.
One of the other interesting ones that I saw that Whole Foods is delivering and Amazon is delivering is flowers. I don't know exactly when. Yeah, I don't know when it stops, but I know as of 2 days ago, they offered 2-hour flowers, so you can order.
Wow.
Them. Yeah.
Wow.
So you can order them right now. And get some flowers, in the nick of time. So, and especially with we're recording on the 13th, so tomorrow's Valentine's Day. I know a lot of people were searching on there, and those are actually all shipping through Whole Foods, which is cool too. So, it's working out really well for Amazon, and I think it's working out really well for Whole Foods. I think everything that they need is kind of right there for Amazon. So it's just a really, really good purchase by Amazon, and it's a really good opportunity for both of them to just keep growing and growing and growing.
What I love about Amazon and companies like Amazon, and this will tie into the next like article that you want to touch on here, Mike, but what I love about companies like this is that they force other companies to get in the game and like step up their game, right? So like companies like Walmart or Target or Jewel Jewel is just kind of a more of a Midwest company, but like Kroger or P&G is what this article. But P&G is. They got tons of different products, but especially like Kroger and Sam's Club or, whatever. It's going to force them to really step up their game and continue to lower prices, continue to give better customer service. Otherwise, Amazon's just going to sweep the whole floor. I mean, people are going to say, well, why should I go to the grocery store when I can order all my groceries and get them in 2 hours, right? So, like, I love, from a consumer standpoint, I'm a big advocate for the more companies competing in a space, the better it is for the consumer in the long haul. And I think that is what is phenomenal about companies like this.
Right. You have this bittersweet thing going on too, because when I grew up, all through high school and into college, I worked at a small local shop selling competitive swimwear. And so I know that there's little guys out there that are struggling a lot with these big companies, and the freedom of business that we offer in this country is one of the main reasons you can have a company keep thriving like this. And I think if you have the right people at top, and you have the right people who care about the company, you're going to see them take care of their employees significantly. And although you might see these small businesses fade, I think it's in the long run, it's going to be better for all of us. It'll make things cheaper for us. It'll give us confidence that we can buy from companies like this, big companies, and we're going to be taken care of as a consumer. So, you got a little bit of back and forth.
Yeah, you know what? You bring up a really good point. That what's going to happen to the little guy? Like in 10 years, is it just going to be Amazon, Walmart, Kroger, and like Sam's Club, which is an affiliate of Walmart, right? So like, is it just gonna be these bigger blockchains, or are smaller companies or smaller food providers going to continue to rise as people want to watch what they're eating, right? And I don't know. I mean, you do bring up a really good point, though, that needs to be talked about and considered when it might not be a sole monopoly, but it's to the point where the market or of that specific industry is becoming so dominated by certain players that then the little guy can't come in. So, that's a good point to think about, too.
The thing the kind of silver lining I like to see in something like this is, it's going to happen. The growth of big businesses or any business like this is going to continue to happen. So you really can't, you try to care for the little guy what you can. I still go to specialty stores whenever I know I need something special, which is a really big thing. But, even, like I said, they had the 2-hour flowers from Amazon. I know whenever I have to get flowers, there's a local shop I used to go to in Downers Grove. And that's the one that I would continue to go to every time, because it's just, I like that. I like that they're, more understanding and know what their flowers, they know what they're talking about, they have in season. So I think there's room for those specialty shops to exist, but I think it's just going to take away from some of the other shops, and it is going to make it tougher. But it's going to happen. The way technology is improving everything, it's just going to happen. So I think if Amazon, which seems like it's a good company, seems like it actually does some caring, and it seems like there's an opportunity for them to continue to grow and take care of customers.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, and I think that in terms of taking care of customers, that kind of flows into the next bit of Amazon news that we have to talk about, and that's what we touched on in the first podcast, but it was, fairly vague, fairly just out there. I think it's, it's fair to say it's still fairly vague. But Amazon, Berkshire Hathaway, JP Morgan Chase are partnering on the U.S. employee healthcare market. 1.1 million workers between the three of those companies, and they're going to launch an independent operation to be this free from profit-making incentives, giant healthcare company. And it kind of sounds like to me, after reading this CNBC article, it seems like, and doing some other research on the site as well, not just this one source, but it seems like they're kind of like, yeah, we're throwing our hat in the ring, and we're going to disrupt the market, and we're going to try to make healthcare affordable, and we're going to try to make healthcare convenient. And if you have something to say about it, then do something better, because it's time to make a change. And again, in terms of like consumerism and being, beneficial to the consumer, I think stuff like that is just so great. It's like, okay, you have like CVS trying to buy Aetna, right? Is that?
Yep.
That's how you pronounce that.
Yeah.
And so you have these like big companies that are just going to start condensing into like one or two giants. It's nice to see someone trying to disrupt that market and say, all right, you need to, if you're going to be in this market with us, you need to do a better job.
Yeah, and the healthcare industry is so untransparent. I know I've had to deal with it a couple of times, and I've gone from, I've used regular health insurance, I used Obamacare, I've used, through work insurance, everything like that, with and without family insurance. And it's just all so much. It's so unclear what's going on, what qualifies, what you're paying. So I think there's a lot of good opportunity for companies like this, or big companies, to come in and say, listen, we're going to take this ourselves. There's no reason we can't. They have the money to back it. There's insurance companies that are going to even probably try to get in on this game, because if you can score a big company like this, you're going to kind of have to cater to exactly what they want. So it'll be interesting to see how the market unfolds. And I know as we continue our podcast, we'll keep talking about it and keep bringing it up, because I think it's something that's interesting, and it'll be almost a selling point when you're going to be joining companies and joining a company like Amazon. So I look forward to talking a lot more about Amazon.
Yeah, they're gonna go and insure, their 1.1 million employees, which is just the whole thing is that it's their scale, right? Like they have all these employees that they can test this market on to see if it works, to see if it is going to take off as they think that they will, they think it will.
Right.
And if it does take off, oh man, I mean, you're looking at people who talk about a one-stop shop, right? Like I can buy my groceries from Amazon, get them in 2 hours. I can have my health insurance covered by Amazon, and then I can go ahead and get all the products that I could ever want and need on Amazon as well.
Right.
Oh, and then if I want to read a book while I'm waiting for that 2 hours to pass before my groceries get here, I can order a Kindle book and it gets instantly delivered to my iPad. It's like...
Right. Now, I know that's a ways away, but I think it's a start. And I think these three companies is going to start encouraging other middle-tier companies to join up together. You don't need three big ones if you find a successful way to do it. You can take 100 companies that are all doing pretty well, medium-sized, and combine to create your own insurance, which I think is where it's going to start here. I know Amazon will get into everything else that they possibly can, but I think for now this is just going to be good for businesses, and it's going to allow for a better way for us, especially in the business world, to get insurance.
Yeah. I mean, I know this isn't the insurance market, what I'm about to say, but it kind of reminds me of Tesla, right? Like, I find it very hard to believe that companies like Chevy and Chrysler, with all of Chrysler's umbrella brands, and Toyota. Well, Toyota was kind of going into like the Prius market and everything, but Ford, things like that. I find it hard to believe that with their scale and all their engineers and everything that they have backed to their products, to their cars and their I find it hard to believe that they were not in the electric car market until Tesla kind of broke through and just started releasing their patents and saying, "Here, go, take them." Like seriously, we need to get consumers more involved and used to what an electric car looks, feels, and what it can do for their wallet and the economy and all this stuff. So here's our patents. Create your own vehicles, and it took Tesla really putting on the pressure of people are buying these things and they want them, and they're becoming these fashion, or not fashion, that's, excuse me, but they're becoming these staples in like high profiled individuals that these other companies are starting to say, oh, wow, there's actually money to be made there, and we're going to lose money if we don't enter that market, right? So it just kind of reminds me of the same thing. Like if this healthcare business takes off, other companies are going to say, wow, we need to start being way more transparent with our customers because that's what they want, and clearly it's working, right? So I like when companies do that, and I like when it benefits the consumer, it benefits a business, and it also benefits other people down the line, like family members and children and things like that.
Right. And I know there's 1,000 current events that we could sit here and cycle through, and I know I'd love to, but I think it's a good time now for us to take a break, and we'll go through the first edition of Louie's Rant.
All right. We'll take a break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the RIJB podcast. And before I go into this rant section that I want to cover here, I need to address a couple points. The rest of the podcast is going to sound just a bit different. So for those of you who don't know, Mike and I don't live extraordinarily close to each other. I'm still in school, so my master's schedule has classes in the evening. And Mike is, doing his own thing with living the big boy job and all that kind of good stuff. So getting together and actually recording a podcast would be great, and that would be a perfect scenario, but it just doesn't work for us. So we've been using an app called Zencastr, and it was having some technical difficulties. We record on Tuesday, I edit the podcast on Wednesday, and then we upload it to YouTube on Thursday, and this week has just kind of been all over the place because we just could not get Zencastr to work. So long story short, we're recording on our own workstations on our own computer, and then I'm piecing together all the audio. So this section is going to be just me, and then the next section I will talk about building a LinkedIn profile, and then Mike will do the second break as well as talking about a personal interest of his, and it following into that last bit. So if the podcast sounds a bit different where it's just both of us talking, that's why. We should have all the bugs figured out for the next episode, but going forward in this one, it's just going to sound just a tad different. So thanks for hanging in there with us, and let's talk about the gatekeeper. So the gatekeeper is something in business that I feel is a little overlooked for a lot of reasons, but especially with salespeople. Salespeople need to be very keen to understanding the gatekeeper, how to get by the gatekeeper. So let's start at the basics. So what is a gatekeeper? So a gatekeeper is a person who stands between you and the person that you want to talk to, right? So you come into a business and the guy working behind the front desk says, hey, how can I help you? What are you looking to do today, kind of thing. And then you as the salesperson need to say, yeah, I have to go speak with so-and-so. And the way that you act with that person could be the difference between like, oh, yeah, she's available to talk to you, or, oh, no, she's not available to talk to you, right? And believe it or not, there's a lot of power that the gatekeeper holds, right? Because that person is in the office every single day. They have the schedules of everyone that works in that office, and when their meeting times are, when they're going to be in, when they're going to be out. And if you piss off that person, oh, no, actually, he or she is not available at 2:00. I'm sorry. Or, oh yeah, actually, you know what? Let me see if I can help you out with that. Let me go and find where she is. Maybe, we could pull just a second here. And you'd be surprised. I mean, you walk into some offices and there could be like 5 salesmen and women sitting in the waiting, space. And then someone walks in and is just like, oh, hey, John, how you doing? And talking to the gatekeeper like they've been best pals for 20 years, right? And then he just walks right through, and you're sitting there not doing anything. So how did I come up with this topic, right? So for those of you who don't know, I'm a graduate research assistant in the College of Business here, and I sit behind the desk most of the time. A lot of time, some of the time, I'm helping doing research and grading and things like that for the couple of professors that I work for. But I am, and my other colleagues that rotate this spot, sit in like what we call the captain's chair, right? So we're the first line when a student comes in and has an issue. And it just blows my mind, just some of the arrogance and lack of manners and respect that some people like carry themselves with. It just absolutely blows my mind, right? Like, I mean, I could just give you a couple rules right off the bat. I mean, if you're going to talk to someone, take your earbuds out. I feel like I'm 100 years old saying some of these things, but it's so true. Like, you walk in, take your headphones off, have just a conversation. Just say, hey, how's it going? How's your day? Don't walk in and then immediately blurt out the person that you want to go see. I mean, that seriously happens, right? Like, let's say, Miss Sally is Dr. Sally is a professor, right? They'll just walk in, like headphones in, you can hear the music, and they're just like, I gotta speak to Dr. Sally. And it's, like, oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't know that you ran the office here. Please feel free. It's like, no, man. Like, maybe you know what? She's not seeing anyone today. Sorry, dude. Like, you'll have to come back another time. Send her an email, And it's just, there's some cases, right, where I'm not going to be mean to you, right? But there's some cases where I'm going to do the bare minimum to help you out, where someone else who's super nice, super kind, we get along, and maybe I'd be willing to actually help you out. Say, oh, you know what? Yeah, she's actually not in right now, but I know that she'll have her office hours during this time. So why don't you go ahead, shoot her an email, let her know you're coming. I'll tell her that you stopped by, and we can figure this out, right? Now, in both situations, if the first person who's rude still puts forth the effort to see that person, yeah, I'm not going to stop you. I mean, I don't want to lose my job by being a jerk or not helping someone out to the fullest that I can, right? But for that other person, the nice person, I'm willing to go above my job description to help you out, if that makes any sense. And that's only because I want to keep my position. I don't want to make a bad name for, the university and things like that. But I know for a fact that with sales jobs, when you have salespeople coming in all the time looking for someone, I could tell you for a fact that the gatekeeper has totally they have a lot of control over who sees who and when they see them. And so just have some respect, have some manners. Walk in with a smile on your face. Everyone loves to see someone with a smile. Ask them how they're doing, and don't just say, like, if someone asks you how you're doing, you better return the gesture, right? Because 99% of the time they don't care how you're doing, right? It's just niceties, So return the gesture, say how you're doing, crack a joke, like, how you doing? Oh man, living the dream. It's a beautiful Monday. Sun's shining, can't ask for anything better. I got a parking spot out front. Today's rolling. And then all of a sudden, that person that's sitting across the desk comes alive, and they're like, oh, nice. That's sweet. I got to park like a mile away to walk. Like, oh man, really? That sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. Or, whatever. Like, I love the fact that the sun's out now and the flowers are coming up. I love flowers. Like, oh, me too. I like flowers too, man. You're cool. We can relate to each other now. Simple things. You don't have to come bearing gifts every time you walk into the office, but just have a little bit of respect, I don't know. Maybe I'm just, it just floors me sometimes. And I know we're all students. I get it. But at this point, 18, 19, 20 years old, 21, 22, 23, who knows? By that point, legally, we're adults, right? So we got to start acting like them. Just be nice to the gatekeeper. And if you're in a sales position or any kind of position and you're routinely going to an office, learn that person's name. Learn what they like. If you are in a sales position, hey, maybe all of a sudden you strike up a conversation and you learn that Mike on the other end of the counter, Mike likes, I don't know, candy. He likes Smarties or something like that. And you're like, hey, Mike, dude, it was just Valentine's Day. Had a bunch of Smarties. Figured you want them. Oh, Lou, thanks so much, man. Who do you got to see today? Let me go see if they're in. It's a powerful tool. The gatekeeper is a powerful tool. So, just be kind. Why don't we boil it down to that? Just be kind. Be a good person. Be a good human. And I heard something that treat others the way you want to be treated is kind of an old saying. And the reason it doesn't age well is because you're assuming that everyone likes to be treated how you want to be treated. And so they upped it to the platinum rule. Treat others the way they want to be treated. Right? Either way, I feel like it both applies. Because no one wants to deal with nasty people. You ever been in the DMV? DMVs are known for having nasty people. But I feel like our DMV out here is pretty good. They got some pretty nice people in there. And it makes a world of difference, right? I'm telling you. But that's it for the rant, real quick. Oh, not real quick, 10 minutes, geez. But this is going to end the break here. And then we're going to jump back with me again. Talk about LinkedIn profile. See you soon. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the podcast. Let's talk LinkedIn profiles. So, LinkedIn is a funny thing because it's one of those things that I feel like most people don't hear about until like senior year of high school, freshman year of college. And some people don't hear about LinkedIn if they're not involved in the business world for a really long time, right? Like other people in different disciplinaries may not hear about the power of LinkedIn if you're not encased in this kind of business culture and business setting. So some people will ask, well, is LinkedIn dead? Is LinkedIn no longer a viable source for job hunting and job creation and things like that? And I would argue that LinkedIn is definitely not dead, right? People who have been using it for such a long time have been utilizing everything that it has to offer, may think that it's boring to them, but that's only because they've mastered the subject of LinkedIn and they've mastered everything that you have to do, or they have a steady job and they don't necessarily need it, even though you should still be networking even when you have a position, because you never know what's going to happen. So I've given some classroom talks about LinkedIn itself. And so I know that Mike has kind of touched on it when him and I have been talking. But, for myself, LinkedIn is a tool that everyone should be utilizing, perfecting, and really taking it to the fullest extent. And so I have a blog post article about this on my website at louiszmick.com. louiszmich.com, louiszmich.com, and it'll take you there, and you can look how to make a strong LinkedIn profile. I've done some class talks, like I was just saying, about this before, but that by no means makes me an expert. Definitely do your research on a lot of this stuff. This is just my opinion, and kind of I'm going to give you the lowdown on how to make a strong LinkedIn profile right from the ground up, but you definitely should do your research on how to continue getting to that all-star level and continue being a rock star on the platform. Okay, so first thing you got to do, go sign up, do all that fun stuff. Have an email that you check, because you're going to get, if people send you a message, it'll send you an email if you don't have push notifications on your LinkedIn app. So go ahead, set it up. And one more thing about is LinkedIn dead. So I was actually just talking to a couple professors in our department today, and one of them was talking about how this woman she went and had a job, super successful, right? And then the company was like shifting or something, and they were laying off a lot of people. But she had a lot of really good credentials, right? And so during that transition, she utilized LinkedIn, utilized her connections, and got a job working for the Hershey company. And she hadn't even left her previous job yet, and she already had another one lined up. So 0 days in which she was unemployed from this layoff, right? And that's the power of LinkedIn. Like, you can't necessarily do that normally, because if you can't leverage your connections and can't leverage the people that you know, you can't jump the line per se on being that stack of resumes on a desk, right? Okay, so you create the profile. Now let's talk about the photograph. Okay, so now the photograph is your first impression for people, right? First impressions are made almost immediately, right? So we've all heard that 7 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, instantly. Whatever it is, the first impression is really important, and so you need to hit them hard with a beautiful photograph. So dress professionally, business attire. I would definitely say dress up, dress to the highest level that you can. Even if you're looking for more casual positions, I would still dress up because it shows respect for the job. I'm always an advocate for business professional will never fail. And even if you seem just a bit out of place, you can always take off a jacket. You can, and always fall back on the idea that I dress this way to show respect to your company and your position that you're offering, even if it's a casual environment, right? So definitely business professional. In my photo, I have a suit and tie. Mine was professionally taken for something other than LinkedIn profiles, but have someone take a high-quality photo in a well-lit space with a blank background. Don't crop yourself out of other photos that you think you look good in. Definitely don't put yourself with someone else. And just make sure that it's nice, it's clean, it's professional, because this is the image that you're broadcasting to the world, right? Like, this is your personal brand, and it's hard to build a personal brand, and it's very easy to tarnish your personal image in your branding, right? So just be conscious about that. This is the display that you're sending out to the world, okay? Lastly, for the photograph, make sure that your picture's up to date, because you want to project the newest version of yourself, 10.2.1 or whatever the latest firmware is on yourself. Sorry, this tech jokes. But seriously, like, you want to make sure that the person walking into that office is the person that they saw on LinkedIn. You don't want to throw any curveballs, right? My LinkedIn profile, I don't have a beard. I'm sporting, kind of thicker stubble right now. So if I have intentions of keeping this for an interview process, I might want to update that picture. Just things like that, okay? Second, this is kind of a little gem that I feel like people at first didn't know about, and now they have like a big old button there that says that you can do this, so people are probably more aware of this, but it's the URL for your LinkedIn profile. So the URL for your profile is automatically given to you. And so it'll be like, linkedin.com/a bunch of letters, numbers, symbols, things like that. And you can actually edit that. So if you look at the right-hand side of your profile, it'll say edit profile, edit public profile, and URL. All right, if you click on that, then it'll take you to a page where it says edit public profile URL. And there'll be like a little pencil looking thing, and you can click that and change it from linkedin.com/in/blah, blah, blah, blah to your name. I would just make it your name. If that name is a common name and it's not available, maybe make it your first name, middle initial, last name. I would do that because it's so much easier for someone to look you up. Right? Like if you don't have business cards on you, which I strongly recommend you do, I just gave one out today. I was glad that I had one. If you don't have business cards on you and you want someone to look up your resume, look up your credentials, you can say, just find me on LinkedIn. My URL is just my name, right? Like my URL is just Louie Z. And so if I tell someone that, then they can look me up on LinkedIn with no problem and with ease. And that's big. That is so big. I mean, if you're out somewhere and you don't have like a pen on you, or someone's just like super busy and there's like, let's look you up on LinkedIn, then they can find all your contact information, everything they need to know, and it's just a simple tool, right? And excuse me. And let's say you did have a pen, then you already know your LinkedIn profile. Like I know my URL without even having to memorize it, because I know it's always linkedin.com/in/ and then whatever you pick. And so I picked Louie Z. Right, so make sure you do that. You can put it on a business card, and it stands out. It looks really good. It shows people you know what you're doing. All right, third point, connections. So connections is obviously why LinkedIn is so powerful. The people who utilize their connections, they capitalize on the opportunity to seize a new job, to transfer companies, make more money. Really, it all stems from how you network. Like the saying of, it's not what you know, it's who you know. It definitely matters what you know, but I think who you know and the timing of it is definitely more important, if not just as, I would say if anything, it's just as important, but most of the time it's more important, if that made sense. Hopefully it did. Anyway, so connections. So the example that I give in the blog post, I talk about kind of connecting with the president of our university. And so when you go ahead and send an invitation, if it's someone that like you went to college with or high school with or whatever, that's fine. Just send the invitation and you're good to go, right? Because they'll know you. Like, yeah, cool. We're connected. However, when you start getting second connections, third connections, people that you don't have any mutual connections with, the add a note function of the invitation is extraordinarily important. And you can do this on the app, but I strongly recommend that you do it on a PC, some kind of computer, Mac, Windows, whatever. But you add a note to your invitation. And the reason why is because it's an extra step. It will show up as a message, not only just the invitation, but also a message. And really high-profile people get a lot of invitations. They also get a lot of spam messages, but not a lot of personal messages. Okay? And so that's really important. Let's say that you're trying to reach some VP at a company because you really want to talk to them. You want to interview at their company. You send them an invitation, but then you also add a note in there saying, hello, so-and-so. My name is Louie Z. And I was inquiring about a position that just opened for VP of Marketing, and I just wanted to introduce myself professionally before I go ahead and fill out an application. I just want to know if there's anyone I can talk to sit down, learn more about the company. Really looking forward to hearing back from you. Here's my cell phone number if you need to contact me. Thanks so much, right? Something like that. I mean, you might want to put more thought into it than what just came off the top of my head, but something more personalized that says, hey, I want to connect with you professionally. and I really want to stand out, and I'm a go-getter. I do the extra step that other people don't do, right? So a second connection, someone that you have mutual connections with. A third connection is you have connections to that person's connections, right? So like, I'm trying to get in contact with Mike, and Mike is friends or is connected with my friend Sarah, right? And so Mike and I share a mutual connection, okay? But now, let's say that one of my connections, I'm not connected with Sarah anymore on LinkedIn. One of my connections is, then that's a third connection. So I have to go through two people to get to Mike, if that makes sense. So that'll tell you how distant you are from someone. But you need to look for common ground too, right? Like you can look for the fact that you both went to the same college together, or you both worked at the same company but just in different divisions or whatever. Okay? And so sending out connections to high-profile people is definitely something worth looking into, and is also going to let you climb that ladder, right? I was just talking to a woman that came into the office today, and she wants to get into healthcare, right? And so I was telling her, like, why would you waste your time going after people that aren't in your industry, your preferred industry? Go after people, recruiters, hiring managers in the healthcare industry, and say, hey, I'm a student that's about to graduate. Here's my skills. I have this much work experience. I really want to learn more about your company. When can we sit down and talk, right? And constantly reaching out to more people. It's like a sales game. You're basically selling your professional self out to the world, right? And so my last point on connections is to continue leveraging those connections, right? So the example I give is IBM. IBM is consistently ranked as one of the best companies to work for. That means that there's going to be a ton of competition, right? But you can leverage your contacts to kind of jump the waiting list. So this example just ended up working out. You can type in IBM, and then you can see on the top right-hand corner who you have connected. So I have 3 connections that work there, for example. I have 3 connections that work at IBM. So cool. So you go ahead and you can click see all 536,000 employees on LinkedIn, right? And now I can browse by anyone who's worked at IBM, right? So then we look at everyone. Now I can see, oh look, I have 6 shared connections with this person that works at IBM. I mean, that's great. I can then reach out to those connections and say, hey, so-and-so, can you reach out to David for me and form this connection for me? Because I'm really trying to work at the company. I'm really trying to work there. David seems like a nice person to work for, right? And then David will be more inclined to talk to me because, so-and-so reached out to him that he knows really well and says, hey, Louie is the real deal. Give him a shot. Okay? And so that's super, super, super powerful. I can't stress that enough. That if I couldn't express that with 3 supers, I don't know how I'm going to express that to you any better. Just kidding. But if I'm trying to get a hold of David at IBM and I have 6 shared connections with him, why would you not utilize those connections? You definitely have to, and that's what's so powerful about LinkedIn. Now, you can also go a step further, and you can look up keywords, right? So if you wanted to search hiring, for example, which is what I did in the post here, it'll get a list of everyone who has hiring in their title, right? And so this person, Ali, he's the global acquisition hiring partner, and I have one mutual connection with them. And so maybe instead of going straight for like the vice president or whatever, who may have some pull, but not a lot to say in the hiring process, I can just leverage a connection I have with this hiring partner and hopefully get above the line of resumes. Because here's the thing. You could have a really high-profile job. There might be 1,000 applications, and they'll put them through an algorithm who funnels all the applications through looking for keywords, spits out 100 resumes. Then that hiring manager, if they didn't already have a pile themselves from recruitment fairs and things like that, they'll collaborate and talk about all the people that they've met and talked to, and they'll break it down to like 50 people, and then break it down to 10. And then those 10 are the ones that get an interview. And so if you can jump that line of 1,000 to 10, now your chances are so much better. You don't waste as much time, and you're more efficient with your job search. And so last thing I want to cover here for the last couple minutes is keywords, posts, and groups. And so you got to put some more information on your page. What I love to tell people is have your resume, and have your resume be killer, rock solid. Everything is just this high level approach to who you are. Your resume should be your 30-second pitch. You know, you walk up to someone at a career fair, job fair, whatever, you hand them your resume and you say, boom, my name's Louie Z, I'm doing this, I've done this, I'm about to do this, I'm interested in this, boom, 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 right? You fire through it, you know it like the back of your hand, okay? Now, the person at the career fair is like, wow, this guy's the real deal, man. Boom, LinkedIn profile, then I changed the URL, it's up on my resume, they go to my LinkedIn profile, and that's where my resume bleeds into everything else I have to talk about, right? So if I worked at the College of Business, on my resume, on my LinkedIn profile, it talks about all the things that I've done there, all the projects that I've been on, all the projects that have succeeded, all the publications that I've done, all that stuff, right? And so your resume is just kind of the door that opens up into this big, ginormous picture of who you are as a person, okay? But then keywords too, you want to pack as much about your current position and about who you are in that description of yourself right at the top. They give you, a max amount of letters that you can put in there. But you want to make sure that that's packed with keywords about what you're doing and who you are, right? So mine says graduate research assistant at Northern Illinois University. And so if someone's looking for graduate, someone's looking for research, someone's looking for universities, they're gonna hopefully find me based on my connections. And you can definitely add more, but I'm still a student right now, applying for Ph.D. programs, and so the education part is the most important for me. Okay? Then next, you want to do your description. So here's your elevator pitch I was just talking about. If, elevator pitch for someone who doesn't know, if you were stuck in an elevator with a potential employer, okay, and they said, why should I hire you? And you only had 30 seconds to get to the next floor, what would you say? It's difficult. It's a really difficult question. Why should I hire you? And tell me about yourself are the two most difficult questions that you're probably ever going to get. And that's because, while we like talking about ourselves, sometimes we're not very good at it. And so make sure that your 30-second elevator pitch is to the point. It says who you are, what you're doing, what you're interested in, what are your plans for the future, and why are you different? It's the biggest thing. Why are you different? Crisp, to the point, persuasive, and a little braggy. You kind of want to brag about yourself a little bit. Again, you're selling. You're selling. That's how it goes. And so, posting on LinkedIn. Posting in groups. I'm just going to tie these together. Last point. So, posting on LinkedIn. Don't treat it like Facebook or Twitter. That's not the place. This is a professional environment. Act professional. Only post professional things. Post things that are for your job, that make your job better, that make you look better for potential employers, colleagues. Build people up. Congratulate people when they have work anniversaries. Motivate people. And write articles and posts that you're interested in. I did a whole piece about the importance of writing LinkedIn profiles, also on the website. I won't touch on that there. And then also groups, if you volunteered, part of an organization, fraternity, sorority, organizations all across campus, all across the board. If you volunteer, any kind of organization, join their group, because their group is going to be really powerful to network with people who are like-minded and are interested in the same things as you. Okay, So that's kind of the top level things of what to do on the LinkedIn profile. If you have any questions, drop a comment, let us know, and we can definitely address them on next pods. But now we're going to jump into a product review with Mike T. I can't think of anything better to come back from a little break from. All right? Get your LinkedIn profiles going. Talk to you soon.
Hey listeners, welcome to the second break of the Relax, It's Just Business podcast. Sorry me and Louie can't be together here. I know we've had some technical difficulties, but we still found a way to put out an episode. So during the second break, what we wanted to do today is give a product review. I wanted to go over one of my products, a product that I've been very interested in lately, and I kind of lay down a review for you. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm pretty diligent when it comes to buying something. I really like to spend my money on, events or experiences, and when it comes to actually buying something, I have the worst buyer's remorse. So when I figure out there's something I need, I like to do my research, and that gives me a great opportunity to share it with you. So what I want to talk about today was wireless headphones. I know it's been really popular. I know a lot of people either got them around the holidays or, kind of are starting their New Year's resolutions of trying to go to the gym more and really want to find something that's comfortable, that works, and is going to kind of be worth the money in the end. So I've done a lot of research myself by looking up products. I've done a survey on Facebook to see if anybody had any recommendations. And I want to give you kind of a breakdown of the 4 that I would recommend, or the 4 that you can kind of decide. Right off the bat, I think I want to talk about the best. Now, a lot of people have to describe a product as something that they're going to use all the time. It's got to be something that's going to work, convenient, and really, what are you looking for out of headphones? Normally, with technology, you get what you pay for. They're updating it, upgrading it every day. And the very tip of the top is the Apple AirPods. These are 2 wireless earbuds, which one goes in each ear, and they're not connected by a wire at all, which is kind of unique on my list because all the other pod-style earphones that I've looked up just don't seem to have the correct connectivity. A lot of the times I've heard reviews of these headphones cutting out mid-conversation or cutting out during music, or maybe the balances or the sound balances are off. So I think Apple really took their time and really found a product that was not going to be an issue. And a lot of people who have Apple, which is not something I actually have, but it's the rare product recommendation of Apple that I'm going to have, they already like their earbuds. They think they stay in, they're comfortable, and like I said, they're just really well designed. I think they're the most expensive by far, coming in at about $399. So it's a really, really tough sell if it's not something you want to fully invest in, you're going to use all the time. But if you know that you're going to use them for things like work, or maybe you're going to go on the train a lot, this is a really good headset. The next one that you might want to look into, and this is for working out, this one more specifically, is Beats by Dre wireless headset. Now they have around the ear earbuds. I'm not talking about the big, over the head ones that you see in commercials, but these are the smaller ones designed for more physical activity. Everything that I read on these says that the sound quality is just as good as the over-the-ear ones. And it's got really good connectivity because it actually has a wire that connects both headsets, or both earpieces. So when you take one out, you're not going to lose it, or it's not going to drop or anything like that. But it's also a really, really durable earpiece. So these are, still kind of coming in a little pricey, but you can find them closer to like $350, $300 if you look in the right spots. Again, just kind of another brand if you don't want Apple or you don't want the earbuds. But that's a really good pair. The third headset that I'm going to recommend are the Jaybirds. Now, there's a couple different versions out there, but the Jaybird X3 is really the one that I want to focus on. What they've done as a company is they've taken a look at styles that people might need these for, or what's the actual action that you're going to be taking. And they saw runners, and they saw an opportunity for them to kind of get in that market. And so everything that they've done with these speakers, all the designs that they've come up with, had runners in mind. They stay in the ear very well. They have several different ways that you can put them in. They stand up to, sweat or water if you're running outside. They're moisture resistant, and they come in at a really good price point. I know, you can find them out there for about $130 right now. And these ones are they're really compatible and really close to the Beats brand. So you're going to be able to get a really good quality, really good pair of headsets that's not going to completely break the bank. So these are ones that I really highly recommend and would suggest taking a look at if you're a runner or you do a lot of motion, and it's a good brand, good bang for the buck. And the very last one that I'm going to recommend is Anker. Anker is a brand that's really well known for their portable batteries and charging cables, and they actually have other electronics too. One of those is a headset. Now these come in at about $40. You're not going to get any magnificent, sound quality from them, but if you're just kind of using them for daily activity or you're going to be running around, you just want something for a workout so you have music in your ear, this is a really good, really budget-friendly pair of headsets. Again, they're called Anker wireless headsets, and they're connected by a wire, but they're wireless to your phone or your music device. And it's just a really good quality, good brand of earphones that you can use. So I know I gave you a bunch of them, and I gave you a lot of different headsets to look into, but those would be the first four that I look at if I were you guys. I bought the Jaybird X3s, and I'm extremely happy with them. The sound quality is great. You can adjust it on your phone, actually, to design what you're doing. Are you a runner? Do you go outside? Do you work out inside? Is it normally podcasts do you listen to? So it's not just the headphones themselves, but they've developed a app that allows you to change the levels. So Jaybird X3s, Mike's recommendation. Hopefully I have some more products that I can review in the coming future. Thanks, and we're going to get back to our podcast. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. Relax. It's just business. We're on the third topic here, and it gives me a lot of pleasure to do this one because it is our personal interest or interviews. And today we do not have an interview, but this is going to give me an opportunity to speak about something that maybe I enjoy and something that we can relate to business, but maybe isn't in the forefront or isn't, big news that's announced or anything like that. So this is going to give me an opportunity to talk about something that's, really big right now. It's being watched almost every night, and it's something that I watch as much as I can, and that's the Olympics. I know they present us with a really good opportunity to see some really skilled athletes from all over the country. And one thing that gets overlooked or doesn't really get talked about a ton is, some of the business behind it and, some of the things that it actually does to these cities that host. A long time ago, back when the games were started, there wasn't as much, social media. There wasn't even media or any type of way for them to watch the game. So a lot of the times they either had to just listen to it on the radio or, hear about it from papers. And it was always a really good revenue-generating event for different cities, because you would have tons and tons and tons of people come from all over the world to watch these athletes perform. And as it's become more available, you see less and less people go to these games. And it's really been a struggle for different host cities to try to gain new revenue. And I think a really big thing that's starting to be an issue now is the amount of host cities. Year after year after year, when they're trying to find out who's going to bid and who's going to host, future games, less and less cities are actually putting their name in the hat. They had, for the 2022 Winter Olympics, at one point they had 6 different host cities as options, and now it's dropped to Kazakhstan and China, Beijing and Almaty, Kazakhstan. I think I'm saying that right. And it's really a shame because, they just see how much and how costly it actually is to these cities. A lot of the times they have to either find alternative revenue sources, or sometimes they even dip into taxpayer revenues depending on where they're at. And it really is taking a toll on these cities. Whenever they quote how much they think these games are going to run, or how much these games are going to cost the city, they keep spending more and more and more. A crazy stat is from 1960 to 2016, the average cost of the games is costing over 156% of what the original quote was to have the game at the city. So these cities are having to come up with tons of income from no idea, and you're not seeing as much because tourism isn't raised. You don't have people flocking in from all over the place, spending tons of money trying to get into these games. You have a lot of people sitting at home watching it on ESPN3 or NBC or all these different types of mobile watching apps. And it's really, really taking its toll on the Olympics. And it's a shame. I think you're going to start seeing less cities, and you're going to see ones that, just need some sort of publicity stunt. And they're just going to have to take this as a loss as opposed to it helping bolster cities. I don't know if you've seen either the last pictures of either of the last Olympics, but I know if you go to Sochi or if you go to Rio where they had them, they are almost decimated. They build these lavish facilities that are just getting torn down. There's one right now that they built. It cost $100 million, and they plan on just tearing it down at the end of the games. And it's making these look like terrible cities to live in. They don't have exit plans. And I know even some of the more developed countries and more developed cities, they still don't even have plans. So it makes it really tough. And one of those that was bidding for the 2022 Olympics was going to be Boston. And it's just a real shame that, Boston couldn't come up with a plan and find a way to make the games come to the U.S. again. And I know they're coming to L.A. in a couple of years, but it'd be great to have it as have the summer and have the Winter Olympics, back to back, or have them pop up often. But you're just going to see it from these less developed or these more developed cities because they understand the toll it takes on these countries and these different cities. So I think they're having to really find different ways to gain some sort of attraction, which is such a shame because they've been so fun. I don't know how many people have seen the couple of the fun stories going on. You have young athletes that are just completely kicking all the competition. You got Kim, who's doing, and she's a female snowboarder, taking gold medal, and she just seems like she's just such a down-to-earth person. It's been a lot of fun. You have new stars that are starting to pop up. You have old ones like Shaun White, who, is just delivering these perfect runs to get him back on top. And it's really cool. Every 2 years we go through these where we see these emerging stars and these great stories happen. And you never know what's going to happen in the future if it starts becoming too costly for cities to host. And that's not something that I want to explore. I think we just need to keep it positive and think about how America and how proud it is to see these different stars come through and see how well these celebrities and how well these, amateurs get along in sports that they're just excelling at. And the best part about the Olympics right now is that USA's best events are still ahead of us. So we're sitting currently in 5th as I'm recording this, and we have the opportunity to continue to grow and see if we can win the most medals, which is always fun to see. It's always exciting to see these different stars, but I think really when it comes down to it, seeing the camaraderie, seeing how much joy it can bring people, I just absolutely love the Olympics. And one of the sports I've been getting into the most is curling. I think it's absolutely amazing. It's fun to watch. It's fun to see these different groups play. You can see that the teams have a ton of fun if you look outside and kind of look into some of the teams. I know Sweden has a ton of fun. You can see some of the Russian teams having a ton of fun. And it just gives us a different sport that we don't always look at. It's not like it's hockey or snowboarding where everybody's regularly watching these sports year after year. It gives us every 4 years people start watching curling and they kind of get into it. I know I have someone I work with is really into curling because he grew up in Canada, but we don't really have that here. So for me, it's fun to see. And it's even interesting to see that they expanded it in the Olympics. They added a two-person mixed doubles is what they're calling it. And so it's a guy and a girl team, and it's just, one person throwing it, one sweeping, and then someone else can come up and help sweep. And I'm still learning all the rules and still learning what it takes to be in the doubles because I'm going to be there one of these days. You'll see. But it's just fun. It's fun to see these new sports. It's fun to see things that you don't always watch. And like I said, I look forward to watching the back half of the Olympics too, and see if we can really take home the gold. But Louie's not here to talk some Olympics with me. It's just me. So I wanted to say thanks again for listening. Please give some feedback. Let us know. We really enjoy hearing from the listeners and hearing about how we can improve the podcast. Because realistically, it's going to come down to you guys and everything that we do here and everything that we want to discuss, all the topics. We want to make sure it's interesting and lighthearted and a lot of fun. So thanks for sitting and relaxing with us today. And we look forward to both being on a Big Joint podcast next in 2 weeks with you guys. So thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.